All right, now this is the screen we're going to be met with when the vehicle is first turned on. If for whatever reason you're not on this main screen, if you're on the settings screen or the app screen there, we're just going to press the home button in order to be able to bring us back to the summary screen. Now, a couple things to point out. We do have maps that are built in. That's available in the titanium trim level. On top of that, we've also got our audio settings. If our phone was connected, it would also show up right there. So, a couple things to point out. On the very bottom, we've got our audio settings. So audio is going to give us our basic audio settings. So what we're going to do, let's tune to a station. So nice! The speaker system in the titanium is incredible! So a couple other things to point out. We've got our basic sources. We can tune between AM, FM, Sirius, or Bluetooth if our phone was connected. Moving back, we can either direct tune to a station by pressing this button. We can use our tuning rocker, or we can use our steering wheel. There's a button on the steering wheel to be able to do that instead. As we get into our phone, so we've got the ability to add in a phone. So it's very, very straightforward in order to do that. The process is the same whether you're working off of an Android or an iPhone. So on your phone, you're going to want to make sure, let's turn the brightness up. Oh, brightness is up. All right, perfect. So what we're going to do is press the Bluetooth button. We're going to hit add phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay, and what we're doing is we're going to wait for, there we go. So as you can see, we've got Ford Escape that's showing up on the screen. We're just going to press that button.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, so we're going to want to make sure that everything's matched up. So we've got 453088, 453088, that's good. So we're going to hit pair and yes.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Perfect, so very straightforward there. So as you can see, it's connected, but it's now asking me, do you want to allow contacts and favorites to sync? We absolutely want to do that. That's the idea behind connecting these things. So we're going to press allow. Now, a couple things to point out on the screen. So we've got automatic contact download. We absolutely want that because as our contacts are updated, we want to make sure that it automatically downloads. So yes, that's the case. We've also got 911 assist. I always recommend turning that one on. And the reason why is because if we're ever in an accident, when our phone is connected, it will automatically dial 911 for us. Hit finish, and then as we can see, so we've got my recent call list, my contacts, we can go to my phone. If you've got multiple phones connected, you can change your phone. Very, very straightforward. Now, if we go to our app screen, so a couple things to point out about the apps. There are certain apps that will work in the middle screen. Waze is one, LiveX Live, Spotify, things like that will all work through the center screen instead. If we actually jump back to the home button now, so we can see my phone is now connected and we've got a radio station that's currently going. In order to be able to remove a phone, very straightforward process. From our settings, we're going to go to the phone. We're going to go view devices. And we can click on the phone that's connected and we can either disconnect it or we can completely remove it. So let's hit yes, remove. And as you can see, it is now gone. It's disconnected. It's really that simple. When it comes down to factory navigation, so pressing the navigation button, we've got a ton of options that we can do. Starting off with our basic search. So our basic search is going to give us the ability to do just that. We can search for an address. So let's enter in the address of the dealership here. And give it a second in between. And the reason why is because it will automatically complete for you. So we're going to press that button. And it'll take a second for it to locate. Perfect, there we go. So we can either save that as a favorite address or we can start the navigation.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving.
Perfect, very, very straightforward.
Proceed to the highlighted route, and then the route guidance will start.
So you can mute it if you don't want the voice guidance anymore. We can mute that out. In order to cancel a route, we're just going to press the X button, and we're going to hit yes, cancel. And we're done. Now, what we can do is hit the menu button next, and that's going to give us a number of different options and a number of other things that we can do. We can look at our history to see where else the vehicle's traveled. Basic navigation settings, pretty neat as well. We've got map preferences, so that's going to be things like our 3D model. Our point of interest icons would be the big one there. Point of interest icons essentially is going to let you know if there's a coffee shop nearby, if there's a gas station, things like that. Our breadcrumbs also pretty neat. So if our breadcrumbs was turned on, it would show us the route that we've already taken. So really, really cool. We've got our basic map preferences. Map preferences, we can go our fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route. Use HOV lanes, avoid freeways, toll roads, ferries, trains, tunnels, etc. So if we have any of these selected, let's say if you don't like to drive on toll roads, we can select that. Whatever navigation route it goes with, it's going to make sure that it avoids toll roads, I should say, if you have that selection. Navigation preferences, going to be a couple different options. Guidance prompts if you want to have the voice and tones, just the voice or the tones. And we've got basic favorites, our point of interest, we've got our home and our work address. Now, one of the benefits of setting up our home and work address is that you can then press the voice button on the steering wheel in order to be able to turn on the route guidance. So you can have that set in and you can say, navigate home, and it'll automatically set up for your home address. Really, really neat. Next up, we've got some basic settings. So we've got our sound settings, clock, etc. So let's go through all of the basics. And actually, I skipped the apps there. The apps, some of them will work within the basic screen. When you have your phone connected, even more apps are going to show up in the middle there. With our basic sound settings, we've got the ability to change our treble, mid-range, bass, etc. So all of our basic sound settings. We've got our clock settings as well, so we can move, increase or decrease 1 hour, 1 hour at a time, or 1 minute at a time. We've also got the ability to switch between AM and PM, or if you prefer that military, the 24-hour time, we can do that. Auto daylight savings time. What that means is when the vehicle recognizes that the vehicle is in a different GPS location than your home time zone, or sorry, that's the time zone update. Daylight savings time is exactly that. It's either going to spring you forward or make you fall back an hour, just depending on the time of year. Auto time zone update is going to be based off of your GPS location. So if you're at a GPS location where, let's say, you're heading from the East Coast to the West Coast, with this enabled, it's automatically going to update the hour that you're in, the location that you're in, just based off of the clock. When it comes to our Bluetooth, we can turn our Bluetooth setting on or off. We can add additional Bluetooth devices, whether that's a cell phone or a Bluetooth-enabled MP3 player. Moving back, we've got basic phone settings.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
We would go to our phone settings in order to be able to add a different phone into the vehicle. Our radio settings, we've got the ability to look at the radio text. Preset pages are going to be the number of preset pages that we've got there. So I always recommend go to your Max, go to the 6th setting there. It'll take it a second for it to update and recognize. There we go. Now if we jump back to our audio settings for a second, so you can see we've now got 6 full pages of presets. So we can preset AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. If you've got a station that you want to remember, all you're going to do is tune to the station, then you're just going to press and hold, and that's going to save it into the system for you. Back in our settings, we've got our driver assistance settings now. Driver assistance settings, same thing, ton of different options. We've got our basic, so cruise control, we've got our adaptive versus the normal cruise. Adaptive cruise is a set it and forget it cruise control. So let's say if you're on the highway going 120, car in front of you slows down, it'll automatically brake for you. If they speed up and get out of the way, it'll pick you right back up to your set speed again. Lane keeping system works 3 different ways. Way number 1 is going to be an alert. So if you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, you'll get a little bit of a steering wheel shake. Option number 2 is an aid, so it'll actually recenter you and pull you back into your lane. The alert and the aid will do both, so it'll pull you back into your lane and give you a little bit of a steering wheel shake. Alert intensity is going to be the intensity of that shake. The best way for me to describe the shake is imagine if you're going over a rumble pavement. That kind of like jittery feeling that you get, that's what the wheel will feel like. We've got our pre-collision assist. So pre-collision assist, if the vehicle recognizes an oncoming collision, it's going to actively brake for you. So it'll charge the brakes and make sure that it brakes for you if you don't respond. The idea there is to try to minimize the impact of the collision. Evasive steering, if the vehicle recognizes a potential collision and it can't brake in time, it's going to take over the steering wheel and pull you out of the way of the collision. Alert sensitivity, how sensitive is it? When we've got, next up is going to be our rear view camera. Enhanced park aid. So if I switch to reverse for a second, the reverse park aid is going to be this one. So whether or not we get more advanced settings there or not, really a matter of personal preference. Our blind spot system lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. So we'll have a little thing that highlights orange if that's the case. Driver alert is tied into the lane keeping system. So if you get too many alerts from veering over into other lanes, it'll automatically let you know that you should probably take a break. Next up is our traction control. So we've got the ability to easily turn the traction control off. Really useful for that wintertime driving. Next up, we've got some basic vehicle settings. So 30-minute max idle. So how long is the vehicle going to idle for before it shuts off? Make sure you keep that one on so that your vehicle doesn't stay on forever and then just runs out of gas on you. Easy entry exit. With that turned on, what's going to happen is when we turn the vehicle off, it's automatically going to bring the seat back for us. So it's a really, really straightforward, really, really useful setting. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Seat adjustment there. So it's going to bring the seat backwards for us just to let us get out of the vehicle a bit easier. The My Key setting, really cool setting, especially if you've got younger drivers or you're lending the vehicle out to somebody. You want to make sure that they're not going to speed excessively. So what you could do is you could set up a key fob with certain limitations. So let's say you've got a kid that you want to make sure they don't go too fast, you want to play a prank on a partner, whatever the case may be, you can set up certain limitations for a key fob. Remote start setup. So activate remote start. The remote start system is there, so we absolutely want to make sure it's on. And then this is what happens with a remote start. Climate control, is it going to let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be, or is it going to be the last setting before the vehicle is turned off? Seats and wheels, same thing. Was our heated steering wheel turned on? Was our seats turned on as well? Our heated seats, were they turned on, I should say? Yes or no? And we can either let the vehicle automatically determine that, or we say no and we just keep it off. Next up is going to be the duration. Does the remote start last for 5, 10, or 15 minutes? Next up, we've got our ambient light. So what we're going to do is take a peek at the ambient light for a second there. So if we go down, there we go. Actually, let's tweak that a bit so as you can see there, we've got some ambient light in our cup. So we've got the ability to have that ambient light. Again, really a matter of preference whether or not that one's on. And moving back up, there we go. Our wipers now. So wipers, we've got a courtesy wipe. I don't recommend turning that one on, and the reason why is the courtesy wipe, when the vehicle's first on, it'll get the window wipers going once. Reason why we don't want to have that turned on is because in the winter time, if there's ice buildup, that could potentially damage the motor inside of the actual windshield wiper. So I do recommend keeping that one off. Rain sensing wipers, what that's going to do is it's automatically going to adjust the speed of the windshield wipers just depending on the wipe, how heavy or intense the rain is. And we've also got a reverse wiper. The reverse wiper is the wiper in the back of the vehicle. Power liftgate, we can enable or disable the switch on the outside, the back of the vehicle. I don't know why they've got the Explorer there. That doesn't make sense. Ah, whatever, here nor there. It's easier for them to do that. Next up is going to be our lighting. So auto high beam, I do recommend keeping that one turned on. Now, it's really, again, a matter of preference whether or not that one's on or not, but what the auto high beams will do is it's automatically going to turn the high beams on and then dim them as it recognizes an oncoming vehicle. You can still use the steering wheel, so you can use that still in order to turn on the high beams, but the auto high beam setting, it'll automatically turn on and adjust for you. Auto lamp delay is how long does that happen when you press the auto high beam, or when you turn the high beams on. Door keypad code, there is a 5-digit combination that you can use in order to get into the vehicle. There's going to be a 5-digit factory code as a default. That one will always be there. And you've got the ability to set other codes up as well. So really great if you've got a 5-digit number that you know that you're going to be able to get instead. Or remember easily instead, I should say. Next up is our Fordpass Connect. So the vehicle itself is equipped with an onboard modem. So the onboard modem essentially is going to let us use it as a wireless hotspot as well. So we can use it for up to 10 devices if you've got a data-only plan. In Canada, you need to go with Bell in order to be able to get that plan. Connectivity settings, essentially very straightforward. Are we connected there? So vehicle connectivity, send vehicle data. Do we want to do that? Yes or no? Now, having said that, with the Fordpass, so with the modem built into the vehicle, not only can you remote start it from your key fob, but with the Fordpass app, you can also start it from your cell phone as well. So really great process that Ford's got the ability to do that. General settings. So we've got the ability to change our language, temperature, measurement units, the touchscreen beep. So that beep that we're getting, if you really hate it, you can turn it off. Other one to point out is going to be our master reset. So if you sell the vehicle, if for whatever reason the screen's acting up on you, we're just going to go to reset. There we go. And we can do a master reset from there. So again, the only time we're going to use that is if you're selling it or if the screen's giving you really big problems. Those are going to be the general settings. We've now got our Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi and the automatic updates are really going to go hand in hand. So you can connect to a Wi-Fi network at home. When you're connected, it'll automatically update the vehicle for you. So firmware, software, the only thing that won't get automatically updated is going to be your navigation. So you need to either get your Ford technician to update it for you, or you can manually update it yourself instead. Apple CarPlay, mobile apps. So mobile apps, there are certain mobile apps that will be available. So we do have the ability to enable or disable as necessary. Apple CarPlay, with the phone does need to be connected in order for that to show up. If you don't want Apple CarPlay to be working, just turn it off and you're set to go from there. Next up, we've got our basic display. So the display, as beautiful as it is, it can be distracting. So if you find it distracting, we can completely turn the screen off, press it again, or we can turn it into a calming screen instead. So again, it makes it it's not as clustered, there's not as much noise going on, so it's really, really helpful if you find the screen is too distracting for you. Jumping back into our settings again, and we've got, let's go back to our display for a second. Okay, so we've got the ability to change our background, the brightness, and then the mode. So we're currently in the daytime mode. This is what the nighttime mode looks like. Now, I am personally a bigger fan of the nighttime mode than I am of the daytime mode. But again, it is a matter of preference. I love blue. I love it. It looks great. But when you're in the auto mode, it's going to let the vehicle to determine whether it's in the daytime or the nighttime mode. And that's going to be just on how bright it is outside. So auto, it should update to the daytime mode in just a second. 3, 2, 1, and go. Haha, there we go. Perfect. All right, next up, we've got our voice control. So voice control, really, really cool. We do have the ability to do a number of things by pressing the voice button on the steering wheel. So some of those things are going to be things like changing the radio station, navigating, making phone calls, etc. With the advanced mode on, I actually want you to listen for a second. 97.7.
Tuning to FM 97.7.
Okay, so as you heard there, we got a little bit of a notification letting us know that it was going to tune the station for us. Now let's turn on advanced mode and do that again. 94.9. Wait a minute, we didn't get a message. But guess what? It changed the radio station for us. So the advanced mode, really, really useful because we don't get as many prompts or notifications. Phone confirmation, I always recommend turning that one on. Would you like to call such and such person? Yes or no? Keep that one on. Voice command list is going to be this list that shows up. So whether or not you want that list to show up, really a matter of preference there. And then on our very last page, we've got valet mode. Valet mode gives us the ability to lock the screen out. So if we've got a valet driver going to be parking the vehicle, technically they could look through our previously searched addresses, they could look at our phone settings, things like that. So by entering in a nice difficult password, please don't use 1234, use something more challenging, but as you can see, the screen is now locked out. By pressing that 4-digit number again, it's going to unlock the screen and bring it back up to par for us. Next one is going to be our navigation. So we've already gone through the navigation settings there.